today's episode, we spice up things a little here. Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of the PMD Tea Buyers Club. I'm your host, Nutmeg Silva, and today we're going to spice things up a little on the show. We're coming into the middle, well, not in the middle, unfortunately we're coming into the beginning of winter. And to be honest, today it's freezing outside here in London, and I've seen a lot of the stuff on the internet, and some of the people who are our customers over in New York have also been mailing and saying that they've had their first bits of snow. I saw the news about Buffalo in New York. I hope anyone who's watching from there is staying warm and that you guys aren't stranded away in cars. I've been stranded in my car once in a snowstorm, I think back in 2010, going up to Scotland once. I got stuck in the worst weather that I think Scotland had seen for absolutely years, and I ended up sleeping in my car. It was -15. Thankfully, I had a Arctic sleeping bag because I just rolled that way in my car, and I slept in that. Otherwise, I would have actually frozen to death. And then I set off in the morning to head off to my destination. But we've seen a lot of chai tea go out from the website, and been also ordered from trade customers as well. So we thought we'd do a little episode on chai tea, give you guys the lowdown on what chai first of all means, and how we make our chai here at PMD, and why you should be drinking it over the winter months. So first of all, let's actually talk about what chai means. Well, chai is actually a Hindi word. Hindi is a language spoken in India, and chai actually means tea. So when you say chai tea, what you're saying is tea. Chai is something that's enjoyed by a lot of Indians all over the country, and everyone has their own unique way of doing chai. No two chai wallahs will make the same type of tea, and no two companies will create their chai in the same way. In fact, interesting fun fact about chai tea, an Indian friend of mine told me this. He said that when he was in India, he noticed that certain chai wallahs had very large queues during tea breaks, and he found out that what they do sometimes in India is that they add a little bit of opium to the actual blend, and when people drink it they end up getting hooked, and they keep coming back to that particular chai wallah because they prefer his blend, and a lot of the time it's down to them adding a little bit of opium. Anyone who knows the history about tea will know that opium and tea go way back, with the East India Company growing opium in India and selling it on to the Chinese for the exchange of tea. Thankfully, we keep everything above board here at PMD, and there's no opium in our blend of chai cinnamon. So what is actually in our blend of chai cinnamon? Well, to start off with, we use a upcountry Pekoe grade of tea. You guys can remember Pekoe. You might remember it from episode, I think, 4 or 5, where we tasted some Pekoe teas. This is an upcountry grade. It's grown in the Libulla region. It's grown at about 5,000 feet in elevation. And what you want to start off with is a cup that's going to give you some robustness, that's going to give you some strength to balance out the spices that you're going to add into your blend later on. So what spices are we actually putting? Well, before Sri Lanka was known for its tea, it was actually known as a spice island, and obviously in Sri Lanka, being in the subcontinent, our food is very spicy, very fiery, and these are the spices that we grow on the island. None of it's imported. These are indigenous ingredients that have been found on the island for millennia. So starting off from this side, I've got some ginger. Ginger is, all of these spices, by the way, well, most of them, I'll get onto the last one at the end, are grown in the Kandy region. Now, Kandy is known for its spices. It's also known for its tea. In fact, the first Ceylon tea was actually planted up in the Kandy region on the Lulkondra estate by James Taylor back in around about 1870, I'm going to go with. Don't quote me on that. It could be 1872, but I think it was 1870. So the first thing that we put in is ginger, and this gives it a bit of a fiery kick. The next thing that we add, anyone know what this is? Well, this is nutmeg. A lot of the time when you guys see it, it's probably in powdered form, and we add nutmeg into the blend. The next thing is cloves, and this is a clove right here. We put ground cloves in and a bit of cardamom, and then also a lot of people are going to find this a bit weird, but we also add a bit of pepper, but no salt. A bit of pepper adds a different dimension to our chai. And then finally, being from Sri Lanka and being a Ceylon chai as opposed to an Indian chai, the one thing that we add is a double dose of cinnamon. And there's a big difference in the cinnamon that we add, which is true Ceylon cinnamon. And there's a big difference between true Ceylon cinnamon and cassia cinnamon. Right here, what I have is cassia cinnamon. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's this big, thick, barky type cinnamon. And here's a big distinction, and you should definitely look at this when you guys are shopping next time for your spices. Big difference between true cinnamon, otherwise known as Ceylon cinnamon, and cassia. True cinnamon contains a small amount of coumarin, which in small quantities is very negligible, and it thins out your blood. Whereas in cassia cinnamon you have very, very high levels of coumarin, which is actually fatal to the liver and to the kidneys when you take it in large doses. So a lot of the time, a lot of the people, you know, who live in the States, they have a lot of cinnamon in cinnamon buns and cinnamon toast waffles or whatever it may be. Look for the distinction, guys. If you're into quantity, look for the distinction in what kind of cinnamon that you guys are buying. A lot of the time, powdered cinnamon won't tell you where the source is, and there's a big difference between cassia cinnamon from China and Ceylon cinnamon. Ceylon cinnamon will not look like this. It'll be a lot thinner, and you'll have quills. You'll have rolls within the larger bark itself. And I'll put up a picture, and I'll in fact link up an article down to the bottom of this video on the health benefits between Ceylon cinnamon and cassia. And if you guys can't find any Ceylon cinnamon, drop us a note down here in the comment section, or email us, and we'll try and source you guys some Ceylon cinnamon. If the demand's big enough, we'll actually put it up on the website, because we know a lot of good cinnamon growers where we get the cinnamon for our tea from, and we can certainly put that on the website if anyone is having trouble finding true cinnamon and they want to move away from this cassia stuff. So mix all that together, and what you will end up with is our chai tea, and this is it here. I'm going to pan it over into the camera, and here you can see the breakup of all the spices. It's a very, very aromatic tea. You've got the black tea, which forms the base, and you've got all the spices that I spoke about, the ginger, the cardamom, the cloves, the pepper, that all add their element, and then you've got the cinnamon itself, and here's a piece of cinnamon here in my hand that I've just dropped on. That gives it that rich, spicy, sweet finish to the actual tea. So this is the actual leaf itself, and then I've got the infusion up here, and you can see the Pekoe base, and then inside it you can start to see all the different spices that have been blended and mixed into the leaf. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give this a quick smell. Very spicy. It just reminds me of mulled wine. Coming into December, I'm really looking forward to having some mulled wine actually, and this just reminds me of mulled wine. It's the mulled wine of tea, so if anyone's teetotal, this is the kind of tea that you need to be drinking. Or if you want to keep warm in the winter and you want to, you know, if you've walked in from being out in the cold and you just want to warm yourself up, you want to, you know, unblock your sinuses, have a cup of chai tea, and this is exactly what I do when I come back from walking my dog. By the way, I'm getting my ridge back. It's 2 weeks from the time that you guys see this. It's actually Wednesday, and you'll see this tomorrow, which is Thursday. So 2 more weekends and I'll have my puppy. Doing a very special episode when the new pup comes along. If you guys have any name suggestions about the pup, drop it in the comment section below or drop us an email. But going back to the actual chai tea, the cup colour looks like this, and if you pan over into that, you can see it's a thick liquoring cup, very robust, and I'm going to give this a quick taste, and here we go. Very rich, very spicy. You're getting so many different elements. You're getting a slight bitterness from the nutmeg, you're getting the warmth of the ginger. The intense flavours of the cloves and the cardamom are fighting in the mid palate here. And then the mid palate as well, just towards the mid-turn palate, you're getting that pepperiness, that peppery note coming out in the back of your mouth. And then to cap it all off, you've got that sweet, spicy cinnamon taste coming through. And Ceylon cinnamon is very, very sweet. It's much, much sweeter than this cassia rubbish. I mean, this is probably good for like putting into your wood fire and burning because it'll give you a nice aroma, but don't eat this. Check out the article below that I'm going to link. but that is the type of drink you guys want to be having in the winter. If you're teetotal, this is certainly something you want to have instead of mulled wine. Check it out, guys. The link is below to order some of this chai cinnamon to your door. And if you're like me and you're looking for the ideal food to pair this up to, I would go with a mince pie. It's Christmas. I try and get as many mince pies in as I can between now and the 25th. And a cup of chai tea with a mince pie is absolutely immense. And in fact, that's exactly what I'm going to do now. Guys, happy sipping. Let us know what else you'd like to cover. I know that I haven't been putting two episodes on per week. We've been exceptionally busy, but from now until the end of the year, 2 episodes. We've got a lot of content coming up, a lot of things that we're going to be doing in the run up to Christmas, so check out the episodes. As ever, guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and happy sipping. Thank you for watching.